The Susan Brender Show is a radio show online broadcasted on YouTube across the United States and globally. The show features guests who speak about health, spirituality, entertainment, and a host of subjects to enlighten people across the nation. Listen to the show that empowers women and men alike and highlights those who have made a difference.
I'm Susan Brender, and this is the Susan Brender Show. I'm so pleased to have Barbara Gordon on my show today. She's a very interesting person, and I want to have her tell us a little bit about herself.
Hello, I'm Barbara Gordon. I'm a relationship muse. I've been doing musing for about 20 years, and I love and I get so excited about helping women and men get into fabulous relationships. So I help people prepare to get in really good relationships and have a healthy relationship. And there's many ways to do that.
I'm sure my audience wants to know what those relationships that are good are all about. So would you tell us all about how you can get a good relationship?
Thank you, Susan. Yes. Finding a good relationship really always begins with ourselves. The more healthy we are, the more healthy we attract relationships. So it's really about going out in the world, being open and being really willing to, do the work within yourself in order to manifest that great relationship. So that's just part of it.
Yeah. Now, people want to know, what do you feel you need in order to have a successful relationship?
I feel you have to have the willingness to be open to find and do new things and have new experiences, because you just sit in your home, Prince Charming is not going to walk into your door. You have to take an action step, I believe. And there's many things to do, just from, saying hello to people on a daily basis, looking up from your to-do list and just saying hello, being friendly and being open instead of going to the bookstore and reading a book or a coffee shop. Don't bring a book, just look around and be open for people to talk with you.
I'll tell you something, Barbara. Years ago, I used to go to Barnes and Nobles, and I used to sit there for a long time. And it's interesting that you say that you form good relationships, because when I went there, people were so friendly. Everybody started to talk about the books and how to have just a wonderful time together. Now, here's the thing. What do you feel that a relationship, do you feel that it makes you old? Does it matter what age you are?
Not at all. Not at all. I feel that the older we are, hopefully the more experience we have. So I think it makes for better relationships. And I've worked with people in their 80s and even in their 90s. And a woman found, the relationship of her life at 80. So I feel it's all in your attitude and the way you approach everything in your life. I feel that when you are open and you get out, off the couch, then you're able to really go and do the things you enjoy. And I think, like you said, you love to go Barnes and Nobles because you love to read. I would recommend going to a meetup group, to a hiking club if you like hiking, a bird watching group, something you enjoy, because then you're going to meet that person who enjoys the same things. And that's a great start for a healthy relationship.
We have something here in Florida called the Socrates Cafe, and I'm a member. And the discussion yesterday was about love. Now, when you form a relationship, that is when you're older, is there love in that relationship? And how would you define love?
I think that there is love, but I think it's a little different as you're older. I feel it's another type of intimacy, maybe not sexual as much, or it could be. That's healthy and that's great too. But I think it's just different, learning how to know people's love languages. Do you want people to say nice words to you? Do you like acts of kindness? Do you enjoy gifts? Knowing what your things you like, I think is really important. And then doing things together, but having time on your own. I think a good balance in life is having time on your own with your friends, having time together with, your companion, and then doing things on your own too. But I
But
do, yeah,
but I'm going to stop you right now, Barbara,
sure.
because some of the people that I know that are baby boomers feel very strongly that they want to live together. Okay, because
Yes,
they're lonely. They're very
yes.
lonely, and unfortunately, people don't pay attention to them. It has to do with their age. Today
Mhm.
we have so many young people, going out and dancing and singing and going to shows, but what about older people? Don't they do that as well?
I think more so that people should be doing that, going out, going to different experiences with music, getting together with groups. What I did before when I was single is I would get 4 or 5 women that I can email, and we put out an activity and say, oh, would you like to do this? And meet them there so you don't feel alone there. Although I also feel that going alone places gives you even more of an opportunity to meet people because you have to, you know, you have
Right.
to talk to people and things. The more that get out and do things, the more opportunities are going to come to you
Yeah.
and the more, vital you feel.
Yeah.
Um,
What do you feel about these different sites that people go on to meet other people? Do you think that's a dangerous thing, or do you think it's a good thing?
think it's a great thing. And I think that that's the way most of my clients have met their companions. Also, they've met them at meetups and they've met them through introducing, from other friends. But I think the net is a great way. And you have to really watch, and make sure that, you're not getting scammed. That does happen. But I can help you with that for sure. I can help people to look at how the language of the people who are scammers, and you can just know by the way they write their profiles that they're scammers. After
Yeah.
a period of time, you learn that. And a lot of people really fall into that sometimes, and it's unfortunate. But I think that there's more good on the net than not good, in my opinion.
I'm going to ask you a question that you're probably not expecting, but I want to ask it anyway. When you form a relationship with somebody, wouldn't it be, I was about to say, couldn't it be, but wouldn't it be a wonderful thing if you volunteered to do something like, look at what's happening in Ukraine. There's
Yes,
so many things. And if you do it together, what a wonderful relationship you can absolutely establish, because you're doing something that, needless to say, is a wonderful thing. Barbara, there are people who get together, and when they get together, they do things that are really very unusual. For instance, we have a big problem going on in Ukraine, and they get together and they volunteer to do many, many different things. Isn't that a great way to form a relationship?
it's a great way to form relationships because it also, again, brings you together with something that you both enjoy. And I believe in strongly service in the world.
Yeah.
And that's what we're all here to do in some form or another. And I
Yeah.
think that's what we're both doing right now. By doing service, then you are helping others and helping yourself as well.
I'm sort of going back now, and I'm asking you, how do you know when you have found the good relationship? Because it's very difficult when you get older to find somebody who is really your type. And now I want to know, from your standpoint, you
Mhm.
must have people that you've spoken to who said, I found a great relationship. And what makes that up? That's what I want to know. What makes, in your opinion, a great relationship?
I love that question because I really feel, when you're younger, you have that boom, boom, right away with somebody. And now as you're a little older, it's a little different. So I think being friends first is really a nice way to get to know someone and enjoying their company and doing activities with them. And then I think it just takes a little bit longer, maybe, to really move to the intimate level. And I also think that there's no certain time to do that. I think you just know it intuitively. A
Yeah,
lot of people say, oh, 3 months or whatever, but I really don't believe that. I feel that it's within the both of the partners what they feel and what they want to do. And
right.
I don't think there's a 30-day thing on it.
Yeah, yeah. Now, I told you about the Socrates Cafe where we
Yes.
talked about the word love. And here is the thing. People said all kinds of things about love. Now, as you get older, love might mean many different things to many different people.
Mhm.
But here's the thing. It's a very, very difficult thing when you've lost your husband. That's what people say. They say if we became widowed and we were looking for somebody, to be able to get somebody like my husband was very tough.
Yeah.
Now, if somebody tells you that, what do you say to them?
I usually say to them that I think it's good to wait a little while, to go through your grieving and to really move through it in a healthy way. I'm not saying 15 years, but, to move through it, your process, because if you don't, you're going to bring that to the next relationship, I
Yeah,
feel.
yeah,
So I think, waiting a little while and then maybe dating a little here and there, but a slower process, I
yeah.
feel. Because
Now,
so many widows really meet a person right away a lot of times. And it works. And sometimes it's just disastrous because it's too early and they're too raw,
yeah.
right
And
away.
and you know something, the other thing is that men, when they lose their wife or they become divorced, the first thing that they do is look for a woman. That is very different from the way a woman deals with the situation.
Yeah.
So tell us a story, if you will, about somebody who came to you. And let's talk about a man in this particular case.
Okay.
I
Okay.
want to know what he said to you and what you did for him.
Oh, great. Yes, I love working with men as well. I do. I like working with both men and women. I do have a man in mind. He was older and he lost his wife of 50 years. And he was really hurting. And he said to me, what do you feel that I should do? I said, why don't you just start going out slowly and, going out and having a nice time, going to dinner, doing things you enjoy, and become friends with women and start to really get to know women and not compare. I mean, it's hard to do after 50 years, but try not to compare and just like her for who she is. So he did that for about a year. And then he met someone that he really liked. And they ended up together. Again, they didn't get married. Many people don't get married, they keep their own home and they partner up. And that's great. I mean, relationships, there's a lot of different ways to do relationships. And they kept their money separate and they had a great time and they started traveling together the world. So that was a great story because he's never thought he could be happy again because he was so involved with his wife and she was ill for a lot of years and he was a caretaker. So he said it's better than ever than even with his wife because it's different,
Yeah.
so it's
You,
a
you,
great story. Yeah.
you mentioned money, which
Yes.
is so important when you talk about people who form relationships.
Yeah.
Is it is it the way it should be where the man pays for the woman when they go out to eat or go see a show, or should they split it? What is the best way for a person to approach that?
I used to think that it was, the man, because we kind of grew up in that generation. But now I feel that maybe a man, asks you out, but maybe you would make a dinner for him, like a team effort. I really believe in a team effort. Both of you helping each other and working towards a relationship. I don't think it's all on the man like it once was. I think that's a lot of pressure on a man.
Yeah,
Um, the more I think about it, in this
sure.
day and age.
Yeah. And should a woman ask a man out, or is that taboo?
I think she could. I think it could be more of a casual thing. I don't know if, it depends on the woman, but if she feels comfortable with that, I don't see anything wrong with that at all. I think that it just depends if it's really, really aggressive, either way, man or woman, it's a turn off. But I think that it's changed in the way of man and woman. I think it's now together as a team. You do this for me, I'll not tit for tat, but more of a team relationship and an effort of working together. I think as you're older, you understand that more too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Barbara, I'll tell you something very interesting. I talk to many different women about all different things. I'm a podcast host,
Oh, yes.
and I have discussions with a lot of people. And what they say to me, and this is the woman who says this to me, the man who's looking for a partner usually looks for somebody so young. It could be even 30 years apart. And that's what they want. And they don't want people who are their age because they feel they're old. Now, the interesting thing is they could be 80, they could be 85, and they're still looking for a woman maybe 70 or 60 or even 50. Now, have you heard about that? And what's your feelings about that?
I have heard about that, but I think it's more about the woman not really wanting, it's like an excuse in a way for not getting out there in the world, for not, it's more about fear, I think, fear of being rejected, fear, because I hear that a lot. And yeah, that does happen, sometimes. But I haven't found that because the people I've dealt with, it's about 10-year difference, or 5 years with the people I've worked with. And I've been doing it for 20, 25 years.
Yeah.
So I think,
Go ahead. What do you think?
I think that's just a belief. I think it's an old story of, oh, they don't want me, I'm too old. It's about women and their self-esteem, and them not feeling good about themselves to really be out there in the world.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, what about sex? Let's talk about sex, because sex is a really, really a big thing when it comes to getting older.
Yes.
I mean, especially if a woman loses her husband and she did have a sexual relationship, should she give in to a man who she meets who says, well, we're still young and I feel, that it's possible for us. How should she answer if she doesn't feel that it is something she wants?
I feel you really need to go with your gut instinct. And I feel that sometimes, that would work for a woman who's really needing and wanting that, because that's a healthy thing. But other times, I think that some women are more monogamous where they don't want that. They just want to, kind of save themselves, I guess, for the right man, so to speak. So I think that's a real individual thing with women and men, actually. And I also think that it's different than it used to be. The intimacy might not be sexual, it might be more holding and touching and, other ways of really getting that need met.
Yeah. Barbara, I didn't ask you how you got into this field. It's a very interesting field, and it's something that probably a lot of people would want to do. But I'm interested in you. How did you choose this, and why did you choose to do this?
Question, actually. I remember that I got divorced and moved to Japan for 5 years. And on my journey, I started realizing I've done a lot of things in my life that I really wanted to work for myself. And my gift is about relationships, meeting new people, new experiences. It's very easy for me. And I started developing a travel business, which I do as well still. But I really started thinking that I wanted to create my own business and be independent. I worked for people before, I was in corporate, I've done all kinds of stuff, real estate, having other businesses, but I really wanted to be my own woman, so to speak. And I really wanted to have my own business. So I just started developing it. And it really just worked. I developed it in a way that works for me. I didn't ever get an office because it was too sterile. I always worked from like in coffee shops and in the park because people feel more comfortable to talk to me when we talk like that. And then I just developed different programs and I put together, different relationship programs, and they're all individualized for each person. And then I meet them on Zoom or in person. I meet people in person now, and we talk and we work through things that they want to work through, and it's
Yeah.
so fulfilling. I love it. And I love it. Like I'm going to a client's wedding in June, and she worked with me for a couple of years, and she finally met the love of her life. It took her a while because she had a lot of stuff to work through, but I'm going to speak at the wedding, and it's an honor. It's an honor for me to speak.
Sounds really very
Yeah,
rewarding. It's
it's
very rewarding. Now, I
very,
want to talk about entrepreneurship
yes,
because you started this business.
yes.
Is it very difficult to really manage a business? Let's hear a little bit about something that people can take away from here
Mm.
about how to start a business. So let me tell our audience, if you will, how did you start the business?
Um, I I networked a lot. Like I was queen of the networkers at one time. I networked, I went to a lot of chamber meetings, I went to a lot of functions, gave my card away. Always have your card on you. That's a really good piece of advice. And I just started, doing the networking and working that business by going out, meeting people, and telling them what I do. But as I get older, it's more organic for me now, where I meet someone, and if it's a fit, then I work with them. And I don't work with just anyone anymore because I've learned if people aren't willing, they're going to waste their money, working with me.
Yeah.
So
Let's
yeah,
Yeah, cultures. We didn't talk about cultures because there are so many different ethnic groups all around. And
yeah,
the fact of the matter is it from your standpoint, and I want to know from your standpoint
sure.
whether somebody from a different culture
Mhm.
can really develop a relationship with another person from a different culture.
Oh, I can definitely talk to that. I was with a person of color for about 12 years, and it was a wonderful healing relationship. He passed, and we were friends. I was out of the relationship, but friends. Yes, and it was a wonderful experience for me. And I work with a lot of people of color, which I love because I love the diversity of the Bay Area, and I want to work with all people. And I've worked with Hispanic and Asian. I love that, all people,
Yeah.
and yes, you can form relationships. But I know that when I was in Japan, the Japanese culture is beautiful, but it was a little bit more difficult with Japanese men for me, just for
Mhm.
me. Um, but it was a great experience there because there was Indian men, Japanese men, on and on and on. And I met a lot of different cultures, and it made me more open to different cultures. And I've traveled a lot in the world. And so I think that also expands my mind as an older woman, that I think instead of getting smaller as you get older, you expand your mind. And then I think that keeps you really vibrant and youthful.
Yeah. Now, you said you were in Japan.
Yeah.
And I actually worked many, many years ago for the Japanese. It's a very different culture. There's no question. They don't show their, let's call it their intimacy. They don't show love the way we do. I mean, we're much more tactile and much more open to a relationship than they are. Now, if you were to actually go back to Japan or go to India or go to China or any other different cultures, could you, and how would you teach them what you're doing? Because what you're doing seems to be a success. So it's very important that you use your entrepreneurship as a way to help others in the other countries who have different cultures.
Yeah, I love that. In fact, that's what I did in Japan. I did matchmaking there. And that's how I got started to get into my business, is because I had a translator, because I spoke a little Japanese, but it's very difficult language. And what I started to do was hook up, Japanese women with foreign men. And I was going to do that here, but there's a lot of liability in that. And I just didn't want that extra liability.
Yeah.
So yes, I do workshops all over. I've done workshops all over the world.
Let's talk about workshops. What does your workshop look like?
Workshops look like maybe 20 women and some men sometimes. And what we do is we really talk about things that are up for them. And maybe the topic would be intimacy, let's just say. And then what I would do it on Zoom, or I would do it in person. But a lot of my workshops kind of are with my travel business. It's almost like doing an organic workshop by taking 20 people of all different cultures together, and they kind of just all get together and get along. I don't even have to do anything. It's just being present and being the vessel. Does that make sense?
It sure makes sense. Now,
Yes, I love that.
yeah. Now, the fact of the matter is that a lot of people who do businesses like yours write books or put out pamphlets or advertise. And I know that you advertise in Senior Magazine. And how's that going?
It's going well. I'm really enjoying it because I'm going to be on a panel tomorrow of experts. Rick from Senior, he's been wonderful. I love him. I just feel a real connection, like, to you and him. And when that happens to me, then that's where I am called to go. And that's kind of how I do my business now. If I'm called, I'll do it. If I'm not, I won't. And it's just a different way, and it makes it more organic. Like I offer, the 30-minute complimentary consultation, and I offer that through my website. And if I talk to the person and it's a fit, I work with them. If it isn't, I refer it, because I know from experience that, not everyone is going to be a fit for you.
Yeah.
Ever,
Well, that brings us almost to the end of the show. So, Barbara, I always say this to my guests: give us the last word. When, if people want to get in touch with you, if they want to, use your service, how do they do that?
Okay, thank you, Susan. I appreciate that. What they would do is go to my website. It's www.thelovemuse.com. And there's a submission there that you can ask for a consultation with me, and I will call you within the 24 hours. I always follow up. Follow up is huge for business.
Yeah.
Follow up is probably what I would say. And I think the last word would be go and have fun. and really enjoy yourself and do something that you wouldn't ordinarily do. Have a good time. That's what I'm about.
Well, that's exactly what everybody should be doing, is having a good time. Even in these
Yes.
really, really bad times, it is
Yes.
possible, as you heard
Yes.
Barbara, to really enjoy yourself and really recognize that it doesn't matter how old you are. It's really a mindset and how you think. So I want to thank Barbara Gordon for being on the Susan Brender Show. It's really been a pleasure.
Susan, and my pleasure as well. Back at you.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you so much, Susan.